Yeah. Okay. So we are recording now. So yeah, so I'm doing this for the very first time. And it all came like when we were talking on the LinkedIn and like it was very spontaneous. And I thought like my vibe matched with you and I've been following you for quite some time. So I thought that maybe I should talk to you, learn from you. So I have been like learning from you a lot. Like I've been watching your videos on YouTube and I first saw you on your first video that I saw was of that Fizzbuzz video that caught my attention that you had made. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. So where you are explaining all the things, and then again after some time I saw that it was all not actually correct, and how content creation. So yeah, it was kind of fun. So I really like that thing. So then I went through all your LinkedIn posts, and also yeah, that's how I got to know you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The Christmas video obviously got a bit, viral, yes, because it's a simple topic to talk about. It's like very low entry barriers, and like somebody who just knows how to write even hello world, they can also come and understand that. And then if you add the fact that you just tell that everybody asks this question in an interview, people will just kind of get
Right.
equated to it and watch it.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, that was quite fun doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So actually, so that was quite fun, and like your interactions also on social media are very. So what happened? Like people are very serious. They only talk about okay, read this, do this, right? But your interaction was quite
Right.
different from what other people have, right? So that's why I thought that maybe
Right.
oh, this guy is so cool, man. So I thought that I have to talk to this guy.
So I have been seeing like LinkedIn trying to kind of interact more with people, especially like young people in the software engineering world or students even. That's been something I've been doing very recently. So I was not kind of active on LinkedIn before this year. So 2021 is when I really started being a bit active, and I saw that there is a lot of people out there on LinkedIn. First of all, I think Facebook kind of is pretty dead for our generation. Not a lot of people are there on Facebook anymore, and uh, you know, I feel like platforms like Instagram, etc., they aren't like a lot of information exchange is something that's happening there. Like at least I personally just put up food photos and when I'm traveling, those kind of photos only. So it's like a place where you see people doing nice things in life.
So tell us about your journey, right? How did it all started, right? From your work to startup and everything that you are doing, all those educational content and like social media, all those things like.
Interesting. So I mean, it depends on where do I start, depending on like which part of the journey people might be interested in. But okay, I will probably start from the fact that uh, most of it starts from the fact that I love building things and making them public. So that has been like a innate tendency, which drove me towards open source, which draws me towards building an edtech company, which has driven me now towards just building an audience on social media to have fun with, right? And but a lot of people today, like a lot of people DM me and say, we just have fun following you. There's a lot of entertaining,
Right.
and that's something that makes me happy. It's like, okay, I mean, if not anything, like you have gained something very straightforward. You saw a post that made you smile. That's great. I mean, what can be better than that? But like rewinding back a little bit. So I think right from school, in fact, not even from college, I used to like probably technology is something that I like, and tinkering with things like I dissected a LCD watch, seeing what is inside that, where's the battery, where the crystal goes, and all that stuff. Then there was some GPS navigation device my father bought for his car, and I tried to hack it to run Windows on it. That worked. So I wrote a blog post about it. During college time, I used to work on Linux kernel and Android OS modifications. So Cyanogen mod project was there, and we used to make modifications to the Android OS and recompile the entire OS and run it on the device. Overclocking So overclocking PC and all is something a lot of people do for a lot of time, but overclocking phones is pretty different. You have to recompile the kernel with a new speed set multipliers so that they can overclock. So I used to work on those kind of things, and then used to open source that work, put it up. There's a forum called XDA where we used to publish those things, and a lot of people used to try out that modified thing on their phone. There have been people who have tried out my modified software on their phone, and their phone have gotten brick. They have had to go to factory to reset it as well. Uh, but all of that, fun stuff again. And back in that day, so that's also one of those times I remember people tried to donate me money, and there was no way to send money to India, and somebody donated me like one Bitcoin. Back then, one Bitcoin was probably like $1 or $2 only. You were
Okay.
just saying. So I have not made 50 lakhs out of that one Bitcoin. I have sold that one Bitcoin much earlier, obviously. But there was a time when I owned Bitcoins in terms of like whole numbers of Bitcoins, 10, 15 Bitcoins, 20 Bitcoins, because Bitcoins are very cheap then. So got exposed to the entire, the tech and open source community across the world, because once you're on an online forum, you can talk with a lot of people different places in the world. And by the time I was finishing college, there was a lot of opportunities, and I had like job offers from Facebook, Zomato, different places. And uh, I just felt like, that the tech community in India is just not very cool enough. Like people are thinking of somehow we will study something, how can we study enough so that somebody gives us a job? And then how do we survive at the job so that I don't get fired at the job? It's a very low barrier of what you want to do in life, is what I felt. And like people who love technology, who want to be involved in that, the upside is infinite. You can do a lot of things. You can explore a lot of things, build a lot of things. And then that is something that drove me to that. Can we create a community around that? Can we like push people towards doing that? And when we started coding blocks, I think at least my personal motivation, I can't speak for my other co-founders and everybody in the company as well, but my motivation was that if people learn how to build an app, a website, do a little bit of data science, maybe some of them can be motivated to start their own companies as well, rather than thinking that we need a job and we'll do that.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I think some of the people I have mentored on my physical sessions that we had long back. These days, it's all online. So a lot of people that I mentored, some of them have gone out and created some of their own startups and all. Some of my early mentees, feel very proud of that. Obviously, over a long term, even coding blocks became a community where people just come in general to learn. And the motivation for I think 80%, 90% of people is still how do we get a job rather than the learning itself. I think that's where the impact. I would have loved to have a higher impact, where probably 50% of the people would have been learning just for the sake of learning. But it was a great community to have built, where we had open source programs in the summer called Boss. Like just like GSoC, people come and they build stuff. There's a lot of tools that Coding Blocks uses, which are all open source. So people in the community have helped build. So Coding Blocks is id.codingblocks.com. It's built completely by people outside the company. People, students and open source contributors, they've come and they have helped build that. So that I was doing, obviously, for some time. So I think, and from there automatically to grow that community, increase that visibility. YouTube was a very good platform, and we did a lot of YouTube videos. And also as a result, I have become, I believe, a little bit popular on YouTube because of the Coding Blocks channel.
You don't have idea about that then. You have a cult following.
Yeah. I am afraid of words like cult following. I just believe that, I just want to believe that people just come and either learn something or have fun seeing those videos. I'm just happy with that. That I have been doing. Last I think 1 year or so, I have not been very highly in touch with the Coding Blocks. Just YouTube videos I've been making, but otherwise, the company has also grown, and we got, like me and Pratik, the co-founders, we got a big team. We hired 30, 40 people. Now there is a CTO, CEO, there's a tech team, a lot of things going on. And at that also stage comes where if the company keeps running and then you don't know how it is running, but it just keeps running because there's a team, there are people who are coming, there's a lot of students there. So that has been happening. Along with that, I also had a phase where I felt that to grow myself more deep in tech, I would love to work on something at bigger scale where there are millions of users, billions of transactions happening,
Right.
and see how that works.
Right.
And as a result of that, I took up like an opportunity with Zomato, and there. So Zomato, I had gotten placed at Zomato when I was in college. I did not join there,
Okay.
but like the CTO and all, they kind of recognized me when I went and gave a talk at Zomato once, and then there was a discussion about would you like to come on board and see what you can do. So I did that. So I spent a little over a year at Zomato building this thing,
Mhm.
the mobile app there. So a lot of experience doing that as well. Working on a product that is used by almost every Indian.
Right.
So that
Exactly.
kind of a great experience. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. So great, man. So like, so you are in this entrepreneurship thing, and like you're doing a lot of work. So like, was it a conscious decision, or like it's just happen over time? Like you just love building things, and you just started solving problems, and you are just in it.
So I think what happens is everybody loves to be able to be in a place where they can build things that they love building, but then the real world is there and you have to
Right.
sustain financially as well. So discovering your financial freedom is kind of important, and then people can go out and do things that they like. And then entrepreneurship could be something, but a lot of people become, you know, artists and creators as well, right? You know, that's another direction. Like doing things that you like could be a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
So uh, I think that what had been fortunate for me, at least in college and all time, was I did a lot of freelance stuff. Some money I made out of open source as well, because from open source project that I built, which some companies and corporates are using that, they can pay you some supporting fees and donations. Uh, got to work with as a consultant in some startups and all of this in college time. So I figured out that making a bare minimum amount of money, which kind of frees your mind to do things that you like. That level
Right.
of confidence I had gathered in college.
Okay.
Right. That gave me a lot of, I would say, both a safety net to experiment with stuff, and it also gave me the a boost to the creativity side as well. कि, अच्छा, ठीक है, let's try and do experimental stuff. Let's build things. Let's take the risks, because the risk is already negated by the fact that if it does not work out, there is a way I can still make money, sustain myself. So
Right. Right.
that wasn't a concern. Okay, so that's like, how will I arrange for tonight's food and all? Like that level of problem wasn't there at that time. So when that safety is there, then I think automatically your entrepreneurial brain starts opening up a little bit. You start
Right.
thinking that this is what I love to do. And I felt that if people really do what they love to do, they can become very successful in that. Because when you do what you love to do, then uh, you are you're not going to sleep doing it all night, doing it faster and better than other people because you love it. Right.
Right. Right. Right.
Same task if you give to two people, the person who likes doing it obviously do a better job of it
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
time.
So.
So I think mentoring people on a tech side was one of those things. A little bit into fintech space, so I worked with some of my friends, fintech startups, helped them build that as well, and I have consulted with RBI and all on some white papers around fintech stuff. That also has been a side that I kind of like uh, involving into, like understanding just the economics and how finance works for people. So that's something I like doing, and how technology helps in that.
Right.
So currently also I'm a tech advisor at a fintech startup, which probably can going to be a very big deal. I've been seeing like a great product getting built. So yeah, I think all of that has happened because I had the freedom to kind of try out things without thinking ki, if it does not work, then what? So that was not a problem. So yeah.
Yeah. So while we are on this journey, this entrepreneurship journey, so we see like a lot of things are said that okay, we found success, and a lot of things see the light of the day, right? But there are a lot of efforts that
Right.
go in vain also, right? You deal with a lot of failures also. So how
Correct.
do you deal with
Correct. Correct.
failures?
Yeah, yeah. So one of the easiest things to deal with failure was social media exposure was less in my time when I was in college.
Yeah. Okay.
So so it's not like every day I open LinkedIn and I see somebody has made an object detection model, somebody has made an app, somebody has made a website. So the discouragement levels were low. Yes, my stuff is not working, but that's fine. I am not seeing 10 people having their project completed every day on my feed. That's a disadvantage today. Like while other people are, clapping and sending a heart and bulb and all reacts to people and like your project has been made.
Yeah.
Along with other people who are today struggling to make their project, they face so many bugs that they gave up on it. They are not so feeling so great about looking at somebody's post saying that my project was completed, right? So there's the both pros and cons of that social media exposure. The other thing is, I think again comes down to the fact that about liking to do. So when you like to do something, then you like sitting and fixing the problems in it as well, right? So if you, a lot of people these days I mentor and I see somebody getting into robotics because some senior or some relative, some friend said ki bhai robotics kar le, there is a lot of scope, right? And they start putting their hands into robotics. And they buy a 3,000 rupee Raspberry Pi and they connect their terminals wrong and the Raspberry Pi blows. And then immediately thinking, yeah, 3,000 ka nuksan ho gaya and it's too difficult and I don't want to do it, and they start getting frustrated, right? So if they really like doing it, they would not get frustrated. They would take it up as a challenge. They would, it would not be like a kind of hurdle to cross. That we can make a line follower, then only you can make an autonomous bot, and then only you can make a object detecting robot, and then only you can make an autonomous cleaner. Step. They don't think of it like that, because people who are thinking of it like that, who beach mein any of the steps has friction, they started frustrated. But if you love exploring that field, then you also love dealing with the bugs and the failures and all of that stuff. Right. So I would say the very first thing is explore a lot of fields without expectations. And that is something that gave me a lot of success in early days in college. I explored a bunch of things which are not useful to me today. I saw father's friend had a factory. He sent me there. They were automating assembly lines. How, say, bottle is coming, water is getting poured, cap is getting tightened, or assembly line, manufacturing assembly line. And they use some microcontrollers to do it. And my father, obviously, did not understand what I like, did not understand today's technology world. He said, "Yeah, beta, you are doing electronics, electrical engineering. I have a friend who has an electrical factory. Go there and sit there and do something." I went there and I learned a little bit. I learned how these microcontrollers are programmed, how those systems are deployed, all of that. But after 3-4 days, that uncle whose factory I was attending, he told my father, "Yeah, no, it's his vacation. Let him just go around mall and all, eat good food. He's not interested in this field, but he has learned a little bit of these things." Okay. I did that. 1 year later to that, and I remembered a little bit about how to write microcontroller program in assembly language, how to do these things. There was a ladder logic program that I had written. It's a very different language. You write code in drag and drop and write it in terms of ladder kind of thing. So next year, I found out there's an open source project where people were trying to build those microcontrollers cheap out of Arduino chips that are used in assembly lines. They're using their Arduino chips, and they're making a project called OpenPLC. It's a big project now. It's running also. So I helped in building the IDE for that project. Okay. But because I knew that programming language, I knew how those logic controllers are coded and all of that stuff. That context helped me. I knew that I don't want to write logic for microcontrollers. I don't want to deploy microcontrollers in a factory. I don't want to do that. But I would love to create the IDE inside which people write the code for a microcontroller, because software is something that interested me. But that context helped. Yeah. That happened in second year. In third year, in our college, we had microcontroller as a subject. And then there was assembly language, coding and all. Okay. There also it helped me that first year I had done that stuff. It came back back and help me. So things that you learn, even if you don't like it, can sometimes come back and help you as well in that sense. But they also help you discover other adjacent fields as well in that sense. But what most importantly is, at least in the beginning years of college, if people try to explore things without expecting something out of it. Yeah, I'm doing this so that tomorrow I will earn 10 rupees out of it, or I'm doing this because I will get a certificate out of it, or I'm doing this because some internship will come out of it.
Right.
If you keep that thought aside for a second and do it just because you like tinkering with it, then you will be able to cope up with the failures of it much better. And even if you don't like it, you will be able to find related things out of it.
Yeah. So like we are talking about this on college level. So what about like when we face failure on a bigger level, right? So suppose if you are doing some startup, if you are working on and it fails, or if you are doing some project, or if you are working at some place of, or even if you are interviewing and like at a big companies or at your dream companies and you fail at your interview. So how, like, what should be the thought process of a person dealing with the failures, these kind of failures? Like sometimes it happens that people just leave it there, that okay, I'm not good enough for this, right? So what will be your suggestion to those kind of people?
Couple of things. So one is that one is more preparatory and abstract in nature. I made a video recently on my failed interviews that I had given, and I felt that I would want to create such a video because a lot of people seeing me today or my social media presence might think, okay, Arnav is a very successful person. He has worked at big companies. He has run his own startup. He has made a lot of money. So he's a successful person. But then behind that success, there has been a lot of failure that has gone behind it, and people should know about that as well. So that when they fail, they should know that it's part of the journey. So that is important. And anybody who is your idol or your mentor or somebody, so talk to such people and ask them about their failures as well, and you will realize that they have had their failures. So, keeping that in mind, that the people whom you look up to also have failed a lot in their lives. Everything has not been golden spoon for them. Is important. Okay. That is about just setting up people's expectations. The second part is, I believe that there should be a 80-20 principle kind of a thing you should apply. That when you fail at something, you should assess why you failed. And did you fail because you were 80% close to it and 20% of that effort was remaining to succeed? In that case, put in time and effort into adding that 20% more.
Right.
If you are 90% close, 10% is left, you do that. Like if there's an exam and it's a 100 marks exam and people above 80 are getting selected somewhere, or people who are getting 100 out of 100 are getting selected, other people are not getting selected. You are getting 85 marks, should put in effort into the rest 15. But if you are getting 20 marks out of that exam and at 100 you get selected, that case I would say you should, for that period of time, leave it, do something else that you like, and come back to it probably later when you are at a better place in life, or you might find out something else very different that you end up liking, and you might not need to do that anymore, right? So when somebody is giving interviews as well, if you fail, so did you come very close and fail? In that case, I think you'll put in effort. If you did not come close at all, right, it was completely above you, right, then I think there is more learning to be done, more exploration to be done. Staying at your current place, try out more things. Maybe a year later, put in effort again. Because you have to always understand that if I am pushing against the wall, will the wall move or not? Okay. So if there is possibility of the wall moving, then I should put in a little more effort. But there is no possibility of the wall moving at my current level of effort, then it will increase only my frustration. So then you should go back 1 year, go to the gym, develop some muscles, and then come back and try another shot at it.
Right. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. So, okay. So like while you are starting up like different companies, right? You are working also. So like, what is your core driver? Like, is it making a difference, or money, or fame? What is it? Like, what drives you?
See, money does drive me. I mean, I would not say that money does not drive me. I mean, every rupee getting added to the bank account is always a positive thing happening in life, not something negative happening in life.
Right.
So that is there.
Yeah.
I do optimize. But moreover, and about the community part also, that's something I like is, if I can make an impact. So if I can do something that can make an impact to 10 people's lives versus I can do something that can make an impact to, 100 people's lives, I would try to see if I can do that 100 people impact thing. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, and it should be impact. It should not be influence. Influence is just, something
right,
just over the top. You get to
right,
see something like that. Actual impact. Okay. Like it can change the direction of their life. So, impact 10 people versus influence 1,000 people. I would probably choose impact 10 people because impact is more important. But with an impact, if I can impact more people by doing something, I would probably want to do something that impacts more people, helps them learn, help them do something better in their life or something like that. That is something that does drive me. Right. And money is something that I would say I am a capitalist person, so I try to optimize things in a way that it can actually be financially sustainable. So that if you want to do something, you want to do impact, you want to make some changes, you should do it in such a way that you do it at a 1x scale today, you earn enough money to do it at 10x scale tomorrow, so that you can do even more impact. But to do it, if lose so much money doing it that you don't want to feel like doing it again, then there is no point doing it, right?
right. Yeah, yeah,
So I obviously do optimize for the fact that it should be financially sustainable. It should it should not be something loss making in nature that you can't scale at all, if you're doing any impact. So I think these are the things that do kind of motivate me whenever I'm thinking of what I want to build.
right, right. And how do you manage time? Like, so you're doing a lot of things like concurrently, right? So you have a job, you starting up, you post contents on YouTube. So like, how do you manage such times? Like, yeah,
So, I mean, there is a bigger answer and a smaller answer to it. The bigger picture answer is that, like, there is a quote that says, "A busy man has time for everything, lazy man has time for nothing."
right,
So,
right, right.
when you like doing it, you find time for doing it. It's more about prioritization, not about time.
Okay,
The detailed answer to that is that you can do things that there's a generally prioritization quadrant. That is it important, is it urgent? So if it is both important and urgent, then you do it. If it is important but not urgent, then defer it. Put it on a to-do list. If it is urgent but not important, then ask somebody else to do it, delegate that task. And as you get a little senior, maybe like I have a company, so I can get the task also done by somebody
yeah,
else.
yeah, yeah.
In work as somebody as a team lead, I can ask somebody else also to do that task.
Mhm.
Right. And then you will grow only when you're in a collaborative environment. Like everything in life you won't do alone. You will do things in teams. So you will have to kind of distribute work to the team as well to it. And if it is not urgent, not important, then don't do it. It will come up in your to-do list later when it will either become urgent or become important at that state. So you have to prioritize and delegate things accordingly
Yeah,
to
yeah.
able to manage that.
In these situations like COVID is going on, so like, do you think the productivity of people have gone down, or like, is it same, or like people are more productive? What is your take on this? Like, or like, if I want to be more productive, what should I do? Like,
So it depends, I think, on the way the people work. Some people work with one of the things is that you're sitting on your bed and you're working. I think in that kind of situations, productivity probably decreases, is what I feel. But then some people might be more productive sitting on bed as well. It changes from person to person. I
mhm,
had been working from my bed for 6 months when the pandemic started. Then eventually I set up like a proper, like corner office, monitor and everything. I set up like, okay, fine. I will not work sitting on my bed. I will actually sit up and this is like my office space. I will work here and then I will go to the other room and I will sleep when I have to sleep. So it's very different. Like I have
right,
to watch TV or something. I will go to my bed and sit on my mobile. I will watch that. And if I'm
right,
sitting here, then I'm working. I'm doing, not deep work and take time out, not meeting.
yeah,
So I think productivity wise, what is important is to take out. It depends on the kind of work. Some people have to talk to a lot of people, managerial role and all. So for them, obviously scheduling and all is an important thing, and taking time to breathe between meetings and all is important. If you are like a specialist, if you are an operator, if you do marketing, you do engineering, where you're not in a stakeholder management and leadership kind of a role. In that case, you should assign 2 to 3 hour big chunks of time in the day where you will not talk to people, where you will not meet people, you will not go up for lunch and chai, sutta and all of that stuff. You will actually sit down and you will do some significant amount of work, because context building takes time. When you're working on a say technology project, half an hour, 40 minutes gets into going deep into the problem itself. Right. And then it will take you another 30 minutes to solve that problem. But after 30 minutes of context building, if you take a 5-minute break, then you have to do that context building for 30 minutes again.
Yeah.
So you waste time doing that. You should keep out some big chunks of time in the day where there is no distraction from either personal life or professional life, and you sit down and you work at that time. That can be a good way to increase productivity.
Right. And what do you think of this remote work? Like, I think that it is going to be the future. Like, people would like either hybrid model or 100% remote work. But what is your take on this? And like, how is it affecting our current work scenario?
More remote it will happen. Things will be more remote. Yes, I think things will be more remote, and a lot of people have liked that remote work. A lot of companies are also seeing some productivity happening out of it. So more of it will happen. Hybrid will also happen, I think, where people are working remotely, but so it might be like remote in the same city. That kind of remote will also happen. Like, you can work from home, but when there is a meeting or strategy and all planning we are doing, then we come to office and we discuss.
Yeah, like hybrid.
Because there are definitely some things where, say, debugging together, sitting together on the same computer, 2 people has advantage. There are places where drawing something on a whiteboard in a room with people has advantage. Right. So deep problem solving with a team, long-term strategy planning with a team. These things still, I feel, there is value in doing those things physically together, and those will not kind of I don't think go away. But there are a lot of people I know who are very successful like doing so. If you are an IC, individual contributor, you're not very much of a team management person, then and a lot of companies are built around IC culture, like a lot of individual contributors who are picking up something with ownership and they do it. In those cases, I think a remote work kind of setup works better. And today, when you're starting a new company, probably to young founders also, I would say, decide your DNA, whether your DNA would be very collaborative or your DNA would be like people picking up individual tasks and doing it. And if you figure that out, then also you figure out whether your company should be remote first or not remote first.
Yeah. Next would be like, how did the idea of this fan shadi came up? Like, so can you tell us about the journey from ideation?
Yes, last 5-6 months I have been making a lot of friends who are stand-up comedians and cracking jokes, and I've been trying to do fun stuff myself. So any random conversation comes up, like people say things out of a joke, and I've started figuring out that many of those things you can actually try and do it, and the world will also laugh along with it. So I was just talking to a friend of mine. She's herself in Amazon, by the way, and she was just saying that like these days on Instagram and people who are 25, 26 years of age, they are also starting to get married. Also, some of people in the friend circle and all, and it's like sometimes some people's marriage photos you look at, like it's also like, why are you getting married, man? It's giving me insecurity, and also they're discussing stuff like that. And then we saw that we just discovered there was this site called IITIMshadi.com, where it's a site for people from top institutes to get married, and we are having fun joking about that. Then she said that we should make one for software engineer shadi also. There will be people who would take up that. And then I said that why not fangshadi.com, and we were just joking about that. And it was quite late at night, 1 a.m. or so at night. But then, like, when laptop was open and all, I just searched fangshadi.com on Google domains, and it was available. I was like, okay, let's buy it. And then immediately I went to, opened up an HTML editor, and I like quickly set up a landing page for this and put it up. So I put it up, and after putting it up, like, I just shared it on my Instagram or something, and from there it started getting viral. It was a coming soon page at that time. Then I, by the way, had a conversation with the founders at Scalar Academy, and I was in talks with them for some other things as well, some business relations stuff. I was talking to them. And then I said that, with this Fang Shadi thing, would you like on first April, would you like to kind of set up a media release that we have acquired Fam Shadi and it will be a very nice prank and all. And they agreed to do that. So we also were able to set up some budget to get some of my comedian friends to shoot a sketch. And we did that video and all along that. And then so I designed that site and all landing pages around that. And it obviously was pretty viral. Like it got more than 1 lakh visits.
Yeah.
More than half of it came from US also. Silicon
Yeah.
Valley side also a lot of visits came.
Oh, great. So, like, so is it going to happen, like, or it has happened, right? So,
Yeah. So now we are thinking actually like landing page and all. It got so popular. We are thinking of making it as an open source project.
okay.
And because so people who come and attend the Scalar Academy courses and all, so we thought that it will be great for them to have some open source projects also to work on. Why not like actually build backend, front end, and recommendation engine app and all for Frank Shadi?
Right.
So because people to learn how software development, people are doing Instagram clone, WhatsApp clone, people are building. So why not
Right.
make a matrimony website? That's also a good thing, project to build, learn system design, learn how to build things as well. So we are actually making it right now.
Yeah. So when I saw that, and I was quite so the first thing that came into my mind was like IIT, I am Shadi. It is kind of similar to that. So that's when I thought that okay, so this is also happening. You have put a catchy word and put like matrimonial side to that. So yeah, that is quite fun. So okay, so you have yeah. So you have this like coding block. So I know this is like a educational content side and you started off of just teaching some students. But like, what is it currently, and what is your
Yeah.
idea behind it? Like, how do you see coding blocks in future?
So with coding blocks, I myself am not directly involved a lot anymore. So like there is a team now which is working on it, and there is so Varun Kolivia, he is the CEO now, and they're looking at giving it some new direction to it. I just stay sort of involved more in an advisory way now. I'm not very actively involved because other things and all I'm doing. I think just the current problem that it's solving, that undergrad students from college itself, they are not getting sufficient industry level exposure. I think with that problem statement itself, there is a lot of scope of growth for coding blocks. I think in that space itself, in the next few years, a lot of students will keep on coming and it will grow in that direction.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So, so one thing that I think about most currently, like, so we have interviews, right? And competitive coding is like guys do, and they try to do competitive coding and solve problems. But sometimes students don't have the skills, like industry level skills, as you mentioned, right? So how do how to make a balance between these, like competitive programming and learning some new skills, industry level skills to get a job? What is more important? Like,
It also depends on kind of jobs you're trying. So some of these BFSI, financial sector companies, and even the FANG kind of companies, very big tech companies, they generally up to SD2 kind of levels, they hire based on purely data structure algorithm skills.
right,
They don't check for product development skills so much because the internal way how they do it product development is very different from the open source and all way. So they will anyway have to train the people in that direction. But product companies, like say something like Zomato, Swiggy, Flipkart, Urban Company, these kind of companies, right? So here, if you want to get a job, then the product kind of technology skills like making websites, understanding how full stack works, that becomes kind of important. So you have to pick that based on the kind of place you want to work at. That would be a factor to decide that, I believe. And to balance that, I would say just learn things one at a time. So maybe spend 3-4 months on data success algorithms, but once you have become adept at it, then you do some development side stuff. Don't try to do them parallelly. Then it becomes slow and neither of them happens properly. So yeah.
and also like on the internet there are a lot of resources now, so it becomes very difficult to actually choose one resource and start learning. So how should a person go and go about this thing, like to filter out the information that we have and start learning, just start learning.
So for that, today's world, I feel it's very difficult. I mean, I don't really have a good answer to that actually, I feel, because there's a lot of too much content today
Yeah,
and
yeah.
finding out what's good and not. Uh, I think one indicator generally I see is people who are not trying to market their content too much. Finding a little less popular content is better.
Okay.
Too
Okay.
much popular content would mean that person has put in effort into marketing it. And if they've done that, it generally dilutes the quality of the content.
Right.
So some of the best quality content would probably not have as much views, comments, ratings, and all as much as the some of the other content which people have been developed just for the sake of content marketing. So and also try to learn always from people who have actually been there and done that what they're trying to teach. So somebody becomes a social media influencer and they become famous. After becoming famous, they want to give you financial advice, but it's not like they have been a stockbroker on the market, right?
Right. Right.
So might not get probably the best inside out view from them.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times people become social media influencers, become famous, and then they hire some interns to develop some coding course under their name, right? So then again, you are going for the influence and the hype rather than the person who would be actually teaching and the content behind that. Compared to that, if you look at somebody who has actually built things and you learn how to build that thing from that person, that is a better approach.
Yeah. 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 That's definitely one way to go. Yeah. So like I saw a post on your LinkedIn profile, and also like you mentioned, so you did a lot of things in college, right? A lot of projects, a lot of exploration kind of thing, right? But I see like a lot of students are missing that part, right? Because you also mentioned it in one of your posts. So like, what will be your suggestion to students who are in college currently and who want a good job or good high paying jobs?
So I generally give people a four-stage framework, and people who are just starting college, they can spend 1 year each in doing these four stages. But people who are in second or third year, they will just have to compress it a little bit because they don't have 4 years now.
Mhm.
But the first year, you should explore a lot of things and find out what you like. Take the whole year to do that. No problem. That's not time waste. That's time well utilized. Try software, try hardware, try robotics, try 3D design, try graphic design, try even content writing, try marketing, try out all those things and find out what you like. Second year, I would say once you figure out what you like, spend another year completely in terms of learning it. Okay, whether it's YouTube, whether it's free courses, paid courses, finding a mentor in that domain, whatever is your preferred format, but
Right.
learn it and learn it really, really well. Okay. Then, based on learning it, you can get some opportunities to intern or something at the end of second year also as well. The learning part is ended. Then third year, I think you should spend in application. Like go to like if you are into coding and this domain, which I understand more, go to hackathons, submit your projects, try to apply for internships, try to do open source projects. So now the learning part has ended. You're validating that you're validating that by trying to actually apply that into real world scenario. Okay, third year. So till the end of third year, you should be able to collect some validations, whether it is in terms of you have won some hackathons, whether it's you have won some competitions on lead code, whether uh, you have gone to a startup weekend, built a project there, right? Uh, Maybe you have created a small side project, put it up on Play Store, and it has gotten 10,000 downloads. So gather validation. The learning has ended second year, third year you do validation. And then generally for the final year, start creating opportunities for future. So whether it's applying for jobs, trying to set up your own startup, all of these things. So then fourth phase is where you start creating opportunities that now that college will end, what will I do after college? So start creating opportunities for that.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great way to put it. Like all the 4 years, what should you actually do? So yeah, yeah, I really like your idea
Hmm.
about going about things in college. Yeah, and also like since like interviews today like are virtual, right? So they are not face to face, and a lot of guys, including me, struggle with these virtual interviews. Like when I was interviewing, I struggle a lot. Like how do you interact with the person who is interviewing? So what are your thoughts on that? And my second part of this question will be like, when you interview, what do you look for? Like, is it skills, or it is like, what do you actually look for in a guy? So yeah.
Okay. So I will try to keep it a little short. Actually, I have to go for the call as well, but I
Yeah,
will answer
sorry.
this question.
Yeah.
So, I think about the remote interviews, I actually made a video on YouTube on the Coding Bros channel. So it is there about what are the things that you should do. Most importantly, I think Indian people, a lot of people don't keep their camera on. Please do that. Uh, Basic hygiene around an interview is important. Fan noises, people moving around, a good background. Uh, those kind of things. What happens is very simply, you sit down with a bad background. That keeps in your mind that, oh my God, he's looking at the bad background. What will he think? Then you're not concentrating on the interview a lot. Okay.
Right.
So that confidence building part, do that. So, like, sit at a quiet, nice place. There won't be interruptions. Sound should be proper. And try all of these things out with some mock interviews with your friends, and make sure that these things are fine in nature. And then wear something good and comb and all your hair, and so that you're ready to turn on your webcam if you want.
Yeah.
So do that. That's basic, that applies to everybody. What people are looking for in interviews is that unless there is some online round where you're writing code, so then people are seeing how you work under pressure, how you can code and think logically. That's one thing. The other part is more people are looking at your articulation skills. That you have done good things. Can you actually recount them properly? So if you have worked on projects, people will ask you what were the challenging things in the projects, how did you do it, all of that stuff. Plus, seeing that at workplace, even if somebody who is a good coder is not of value if he can't explain his code to other people, if he can't work in a team. So your knowledge plus your ability to share that knowledge, that is what is looked at in an interview, and you should be able to demonstrate that.
So that will be my last question. So you shared your UPI recently, you conducted an experiment. So what was that about, how it went? So I also participated in that. So what was your experience like?
So it's a couple of things. I just wanted to understand that if I do share my UPI ID, what do people do? I was thinking that people might send a lot of requests to collect money, but that did not happen. I thought that people might just end up sending spam messages on Google Pay. That also did not happen. People actually did send across money, and a lot of people send across very small sums of money, but wrote some jokes or some funny things. That was very entertaining.
I saw that. Yeah.
Right. The other thing was obviously 4 or 5 people actually sent pretty big sums of money as well, and they said that I had some impact in their lives.
Yeah.
2 of them, people, I tried to return their money because they sent a very big amount of sum, but unfortunately I was not able to return because that account itself has a 20,000 UPI limit to be able to send that money.
Okay.
But then I had a talk with those people, and they insisted that I should keep it. So then I have mostly used that some of the money, like the bigger amounts, I have donated to some COVID relief and some Milap and Keto fundraisers, which I have seen on my LinkedIn and all feed. People who have been affected by COVID. There's somebody looking for some organ donation.
Right. Yeah.
Somebody has some other. So I keep seeing those fundraisers, and I try to sometimes donate to them as well. But now that there was, I think, almost close to 2 lakh kind of amount that had come in, so around 1.5 lakh out of that I have just donated to some of those fundraisers. My co-founder from Coding Bros, Pratik, his father is running a rehabilitation center for kids whose parents have been affected by COVID in Jalandhar. So I donated some money there. So that's something I did there. I think I just wanted to see is this creator economy and this super chat thing that's happening on YouTube and all. So would people kind of just spend maybe small amounts of money, even not big amounts of money, just to interact with people, have fun, and do that stuff? So how crazy the world is, I think probably that trying to figure that out was also part of the experiment. And
and the messages I saw were
didn't go
quite
too
funny.
bad, I would say.
The messages were
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So that was
So
my
it was obviously a lot of fun
yeah.
for me.
So that was my last piece, Arnav. Thank you for being here. It was great talking to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I hope like I can be your mentee too.
Same. I loved your questions and I loved answering them.
It was really nice talking to you. I had a
Okay.
ball. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Aman.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks. Okay. Bye. Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.